Okay, welcome back to the Adventure Within channel. My name is Andrew Fritz. I'm a clairvoyant, healer, and meditation teacher. And in today's video, I'd like to talk about just being on the spiritual path and how sometimes that's not always rainbows and sunshine and always pretty. Don't get me wrong, being on your spiritual path, I always find is much more rewarding and fulfilling. However, it can get quite difficult at times, and it's can be messy actually. Um, it can feel that way to you, and from the outside perspective, other people kind of looking at you, kind of going, well, "Hey, what's going on with you? This doesn't really look that great." Um, and so, and so, why is this? Why is this challenging? Sometimes we might have this thought or notion or idea that, oh, I'm on my spiritual path, and now things are magically going to be better, and I find that you're basically going to start encountering and running into, while you're on your spiritual path, right? The things that you've been unconscious of, the things that you've been avoiding, that you've buried and suppressed, that is really there, limiting or covering up the the things that we're all seeking, kind of the inner qualities of the spirit that you are, such as that inner joy and that inner peace. And that inner joy, I think, is very different from the fleeting or temporary joy we might kind of catch in this world when we get something that's shiny or nice, or you get this or whatever it is, and but then it fades. Oh, it's just this kind of temporary, kind of fleeting happiness. And I think that's a little different from that inner joy that is always there. We don't lose that. I sense that it's more that it just gets covered up, and we become less aware of it, or don't feel it, or don't notice it as much. So being on the spiritual path, you're unearthing all of this, and it gets messy and uncomfortable and unpleasant at times, because you're facing down the things that, um, in a way, there's a part of you that wants to really face this, because it's you know what you're going to have on the other side of it. But sometimes there's a lot of resistance towards this, and having to work through all of the resistance, that pump the brake energy of, this is really, I don't really want to go into this. This is really hard or painful. And so sometimes working through the pain, while very unpleasant, it's necessary to kind of have what's on the other side. And that's the beautiful thing, is being, while on your spiritual path, opening up certain soul abilities so that you can really be aware of what might be on the other side of the pain and the hardship that you might encounter on your spiritual journey, so that you kind of know, okay, what I'm experiencing, yeah, this thing might be unpleasant, that I know I have a sense of what's on the other side. Maybe not the full picture, but I have an idea, and that's my inspiration to kind of keep going. And that's what's really wonderful about having certain soul abilities turned on, that you can tune into that and use that as an inspiration to keep moving forward, even though it might be tricky or challenging in some way. Um, so yeah, this is can be a difficult road to be on, and in that journey, you're going to be shedding a lot of skins, and you're going to be letting go or discarding a lot of false identities. You're going to have ego deaths, and I say that as plural, not singular. A lot of people might think that I have an ego death and that's it, all said and done. And I find for myself personally, and I've looked at other people as well psychically, that it's multiple ego deaths. You're letting go false identities, these images that say, oh, this is who you are, but it's actually not who you are. And you let these go. And, in that process, when you're letting these go, the lie starts to come undone. And if you're not fully aware of what's happening, it can feel, regardless of whether you're aware of not what's actually happening, it can feel not that pleasant. It feels like, whoa, this, I feel like a part of my life is falling apart, or whoa, it feels like multiple parts, if not my entire life, is just collapsing. This is not good. And from an outside perspective, same thing. They might be going, whoa, what is wrong with you? This looks terrible. And yes, it might very much feel that way. But again, having different soul abilities turned on, you can kind of go, wait a second, this feels pretty bad. This feels pretty terrible. But what's going on here? And despite it not feeling very great, this kind of the house of cards are kind of collapsing, so to speak. What does this actually mean? What's really going on? And you might find from a spiritual perspective, this is quite a wonderful thing that, how do you expect that if you want to move into a space of things that are more resonate with you as a being, that things that are something that you're really seeking that's more authentic to you. How do you expect to kind of be in that place if you're still holding on to things that are not true to you, things that are lies? And so those lies need to come undone. So what tends to happen is you start to let these lies go, and it could feel god awful sometimes. And so again, having these abilities turned on so you can really become aware of, oh wait, you can kind of notice from the spiritual side of things that this is quite a wonderful thing. It's actually just the lie. You're letting the lie go. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's unpleasant, but that's the thing that you need to shed this skin. You need to let this go, whatever it might be, so that you can really transform and move into this brand new space. You have this death and then you have this rebirth. And in that process, if you allow it to happen, you can be kind of reborn into a brand new energy that is more of your energy, more of your truth, and let that set the tone as opposed to the lie setting the tone. And because if you're operating in a lie, then that starts to attract things that really aren't authentic to you. And why am I always attracting this particular person in my life? Or why am I attracting this particular job in my life? Or whatever it is, if you start to let that lie go or that false identity go, whoa, this shifts everything. And then suddenly your lifestyle looks to be a little different when you get on the other side. But it can feel pretty terrible in that process. And other people around you might go, whoa, that doesn't look that great at all. And so it's nice to be aware of what's happening from a spiritual side of things perspective. So you can go, oh, okay, yeah, this doesn't feel great, but I'm just going through this big transformation, this big transition, and have a little bit of grace for yourself as you kind of go through this. And that's a big thing is, how do you navigate these? How do you get through these? And there might be things that are helpful for everybody, and there might be things that are more unique to you that it might not be helpful for someone else, but for you, okay, this is what works best for you to navigate these tricky situations when everything seems to be falling apart. How do you deal with that? And I think an important thing to note is that letting it fall apart, it can be sometimes you want to hold on for dear life and go, no, 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 please don't let this go. But that might be the thing that's necessary so you can step into the new energy that you're really seeking and wanting to have. So just letting the process happen. Um, you know, sometimes when we go through breakups or lose jobs or whatever it might be, it seems unpleasant. And even though it's a terrible situation, it can seem to you that it is an opportunity sometimes that, okay, this thing is coming undone. And there might be some things that get kind of triggered within you in that process of, oh, I've lost this job for whatever reason, whether you left or got let go, or this relationship kind of blew up. There might be things that are kind of triggered in those events that there's an opportunity to shed those and let those go so that you can step into a new authentic energy. And because sometimes we want to really hold on and kind of get stuck in the past, and we recycle things because it's familiar, it's safe, right? And so if we allow ourselves to really just shed whatever is ready to come undone, to kind of embrace the death, to embrace because you are spirit, you're never going to die. And you're just shedding something that is not you. And if you give yourself grace and permission to just drop that, to let that go, just, okay, this is kind of wild, this is kind of unpleasant, but I'm just gonna just accept and just let this go, whatever it is, whether you're fully aware of it or not, or just partially aware of it, just kind of, okay, I'm just gonna ride this wave. And you might be surprised of, oh, what's on the other side, that you can kind of make it through the death and have yourself a rebirth and be in this brand new energy and go, wow, thank God, I'm so glad that I didn't cling and just continuously pump the brake on it, that I just let it happen, that I just let the things fall apart. It wasn't pleasant. It wasn't, that great of a feeling, but now I'm on the other side of things. Maybe things start to make more sense and you're more grateful or more appreciative. Oh, thank God I made it to the other side. And now I'm in this new energy and I've leveled up. Now things are actually different. I'm not just recycling something from the past, same relationships, same jobs, or whatever it is. Now you're kind of in a new space and you can attract new things in your life. I think it's important to just be aware of that. And it is tricky. It is hard, easier said than done, absolutely. But again, having your soul abilities turned on so that you can become aware of these things, the spiritual side of things, and you can kind of have a different perspective and go, okay, wow, it feels pretty bad. Everyone else around me is looking at me like something's wrong with me, but actually, this is the necessary thing. This is maybe a blessing in disguise, and things will look different here. And maybe it takes a little bit of time, and that's okay. But eventually, the energy will shift, you'll transform, and suddenly you're anew. So it's just something to be aware of. And I just want to talk about this because, again, sometimes when it comes to healing or being on your spiritual path, we have this thought or idea that it is perfect and rainbows and it's amazing and yes, highly rewarding, highly fulfilling, absolutely. Every time you are growing and changing and evolving, you're climbing that mountain and you reach the peak and you feel strong and you've conquered something, you learn something, and then you go down the valley and then you're going up another mountain. And so life ebbs and flows, as we've all heard and probably experienced and seen in the world with other people. And doing our best not to resist the journey, going up the mountain, being at the peak, going down the mountain, going up another big mountain, the ebbs and flows of life, not being in resistance and just kind of letting it flow, letting things pass, letting things be. And that's the trick, right? Not being in resistance, being neutral. And that's challenging. That's something that I think we're all here learning in our own ways. But I find that when I get neutral and I'm not in this state of resistance, things are easier. Things flow easier. And anytime I'm resisting, I'm just making things a lot harder for myself. I used to be in a lot of resistance, and it's something, there are certain things that I resist still now, and it's just things that I'm learning through and working through. And yeah, that's what we're all here to do, right? Is we're here to learn and grow and change. And growing towards what? And I know what I'm growing towards, and that's what I love about meditation, is being able to find what it is you're growing towards. Why are you here and what are you moving towards? What are you evolving towards? And seeing that for yourself, finding and discovering your own truth. So this YouTube channel, we talk about different spiritual topics and meditation and all sorts of stuff. We also do interviews. I got some really fun interviews lined up here in the next few weeks. And also we do guided meditations. So if this is something that's interesting to you, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.